What's up, guys? Mystic Mike back here for another prediction. Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady in London this Saturday. Remember, guys, it's an early start time if you live on the East Coast like me. Anyways, let's get right into it. We have a lot of fights, 13 fights, I believe, on this card, and a lot of good fights, a lot of good predictions for you guys. I broke down each and every fight. So we'll start with the prelims and make our way through the main card and get to the main event. Let's go. So first fight, we have Guram Kutateladze versus Kau Fernandez. So Guram, like I've written over here, he has great experience. He's a good kickboxer, and Kau Fernandez, he's a tough guy, you know, but he's not very technical. Fights with his chin up a lot, and I think this is going to be a closer fight than the odds have it listed, but I do think Guram Kutateladze will sneak in and win by decision. So if you guys are betting on this fight, Guram Kutateladze by decision should be your bet. Next fight. Colin Loughran versus Nathan Fletcher. Nathan Fletcher is a great fighter, just coming off the Ultimate Fighter. He's very, very good at jiu-jitsu. I was very impressed by his grappling, and he already has a win over Loughran. They fought on the regional scene in amateur MMA, and yeah, Loughran won. Fletcher won, and you know what they say, guys. Fighters when they rematch, most of the time, the guy who won the first time is going to win the second time. Loughran, he's pressure heavy, dirty boxer, press and wrestling style, but I think Loughran's gonna, get a little bit of annoyed of Fletcher's jab and distance management. He's gonna shoot for some sort of sloppy takedown, and Fletcher could either sink in a nice guillotine or he's gonna take his back and get his rear naked choke, classic choke that he always gets. So my official prediction for this fight will be Nathan Fletcher by round two submission. I think the first round is going to be a lot of a big feeling out process. Fletcher is probably going to win the first round based off his jab and distance management. Second round, corner of Loughran's going to tell him, hey, listen, man, you got to get in there. You got to win this next round. He's going to get a little bit sloppy, and boom, Loughran's going to catch him with a nice submission. Next fight, we have Shauna Bannon versus Pooja Tomar. If you guys were looking for a little piss break, this would be the one. I'm just joking. Uh, Shauna Bannon, she's a karate style fighter. She has a big reach advantage in this fight, actually. She has a lot of good side kicks. I really like her side kicks. And Pooja Tomar usually has the somewhat of a reach advantage, and she has a Muay Thai style. She likes to use her teeps, use her range, and she's not gonna have that in this fight. So I really think she's gonna get like last fight annoyed, try to come in, and she's not gonna have a lot of success in this fight. I believe that Shauna Bannon will win this fight by decision, and I think it's not gonna be close. Next one, Andre Pulayev versus CLDR. CLD. Sorry, Christian Leroy Duncan. All right. So Christian Leroy Duncan, he's a great fighter. He just lost versus Gregory Rodriguez. I think they put him in there a little bit too early to go up against Gregory Rodriguez. I mean, the guy's only, I think, 4 fights in the UFC at this point, or 5 fights in the UFC at this point. And he's an up and coming prospect, man. He has a lot of spinning back fists, spinning kicks. He's very explosive. But as we saw in the Gregory Rodriguez fight, he has a questionable gas tank, and he struggles when he gets put up against the fence, when he gets grappled. And I mean, the guy he's fighting is a sambo fighter. He is making his UFC debut, but he is a sambo fighter with great cage wrestling and good ground control, ground and pound. So I think in this fight, we're gonna have to see Christian Leroy Duncan get a round one KO, or I think Pulev could win by decision, but my official prediction will be Duncan by round one KO because Puliev's striking is not even close to the level of CLD. His striking is, listen, the UFC's been getting a lot of these good up and comers that are very one dimensional, and Andre is pretty one dimensional. That being said, if he could really use that one dimension that he has, he could probably win the fight. But no, I think Duncan's gonna knock him out in the first round. So if you're betting on this fight, Duncan first round knockout, it's a good bet. Next fight, Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. Marcin Tybura is a freaking veteran, man. This guy has so many fights in the UFC. He's very good. He has a great grappling style, but he makes the fight very slow. I mean, when he fights guys who are very explosive punchers, he could just wear them out, grapple them down to the ground, get some sort of submission, or win by decision. This is going to be a big test for Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin's undefeated. He's a great boxer. He's fast for heavyweight. He has knockout power. If Mick Parkin is going to get held up against the fence and grappled, Mick Parkin's going to lose the decision. But I think Mick Parkin, hometown hero, he has decent wrestling defense, good clinch work, good boxing. I think he could keep the distance against the 49-year-old Marcin Tybura, but this is going to be a big test for him. And I think we've seen like 12 guys lose their O's in 2025. So this could be another situation where the undefeated guy gets pushed in there a little bit too quickly against someone who has a lot more experience and loses his undefeated record. But that being said, I'm going to stick with my guts. I'm going to say Mick Parkin is going to win this fight by decision. Next fight, Loner Kavanaugh versus Felipe Dos Santos. This is a good fight, guys. Loner Kavanaugh, I have bet on him every single fight since like the first time I bet on him was on Dana White's Contender Series, and since then, he's a great fighter. He has a very good style. Wait, every single fight. I've bet on him two times. He won both times. He has a great style. I like his boxing. He puts together long combinations, which I really like. I don't like it when guys go in there and do like one or two shots. This guy puts some combinations together really well. He moves forward a lot, and in this fight, I believe he has a pretty significant wrestling advantage over Felipe Dos Santos. That being said, Felipe Dos Santos, he has that Charles Oliveira style. He trains at shoot the box. He's a Muay Thai Jiu-Jitsu style fighter. He has pretty good Jiu-Jitsu, but his last five fights went the distance. He's a violent guy, but I find he gets outclassed, and this is going to be a good test for Kavanaugh to see where he's kind of at. If Dos Santos loses this fight, it's possible he might get cut from the UFC. We'll see what happens, but I believe Loner Kavanaugh is going to win this fight by decision, and I think it's going to be a pretty dominant decision. Next fight, Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. This is a nice striking matchup. Two strikers with two completely different styles. Jai Herbert is a very veteran kickboxer, technical kickboxer style. We saw him drop Ilya Topuria with a head kick, but that being said, actually, Chris Padilla has a similar style to Topuria. He's a boxing heavy style with great grappling as well. So we could see uh, the same outcome, but I don't think so. I think Jai Herbert's gonna win this fight by round two KO. Right? Um, Padilla is good, but I think this is only his second fight in the UFC. Let's double check that. Yes, this is his third fight in the UFC, and he's going up against Jai Herbert, which is he has a lot of kickboxing and UFC experience. So I'm gonna go with Jai Herbert by KO round two. But guys, honestly, this fight I wouldn't really bet on it too heavily because it's a little bit of a toss up. It's actually gonna be a very close fight, and I'm very looking forward to seeing this fight. Next fight, Nathaniel Wood versus XXX Tentacion. Okay, so Nathaniel Wood, he has a lot of fights in the UFC. I think he's somewhere like 12 or something. A lot of fights. Honestly, he's a veteran in the UFC. Versus Morgan Charrier. Charrier, like again, this is another two strikers versus each other, but two completely different styles. Charrier is very wild. He has a lot of KO power, 60 wins by KO, and he hits freaking hard. But Nathaniel Wood, more experienced, very technical. He's faster. I really enjoy watching him fight because he has very good footwork. I'm gonna go with Nathaniel Wood by decision. This should be a fun fight. I think Wood's gonna. I think he's gonna piece him up and avoid most of the heavy shots in the first round. Charrier is gonna kind of gas a little bit, and Nathaniel Wood's gonna win by decision. So good underdog pick right there. Next, I'm really looking forward to this fight, guys. Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. Jordan, guys, if you haven't already, go watch all his Cage Warriors fights. He's a great grappler. I love watching his grappling. It's very slick. His back takes are really nice. He has good backpack and rear naked chokes. Um, in my opinion, like he could have beat Guram Kutateladze in his last fight. He came in short notice against a vet in Guram Kutateladze, and he did a great job. So some people say he won that fight. I would have to watch it again just to check and see who I think won. But it was really close. So I like Jordan. I think he's going to be able to take down Duncan. And honestly, I think the fight's going to go to decision because this is Jordan's second fight in the UFC. And he was. I guess you could say he was nervous in his first. And I kind of got the nerves out of the way, and now he's in the UFC. He's fighting in London. He's from England. Um, I think he's going to win by decision, but he could also win by submission. I think the submission play is live, decision play is live, but I definitely think Vucenic is going to dominate in this matchup because Chris Duncan, he's very well rounded. He has wins by submission as well, but he's a kickboxer. He's not a jiu-jitsu grappler just like Jordan. So I would say Jordan's going to win by decision. Next, Molly McCann versus Alexia Tainara. Molly McCann is fucking shit. She has a boxing style, 1-3 in the last four, and she really struggles against grapplers. Alexia, it's her UFC debut. She has that Muay Thai BJJ style, classic style. It's so fun to watch. I think that this fight is not going to end well for Molly McCann. She doesn't really do good either when she fights in England. When she fights with the home crowd, I mean, I think she's only won once. That one time it was like that spinning back, yeah, spinning elbow against Hannah Goldie was her last win in like the hometown crowd. But other than that, like she's always come up short. And like I said, guys, she struggles against grapplers, and she's not really like it's not like she's losing to like champions. She's losing to people that are going on and like having like negative records in the UFC. So I'm not gonna give this fight to Molly McCann. I'm gonna pick Alexia Tainara. I'm gonna pick her by decision. I think UFC is kind of setting her up to beat Molly McCann, get a little bit of star power, and move through the division. She's a really good fighter. She's very young, 27 years old, and yeah, I see a bright future for this girl. Next fight, Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson. Okay, guys, Kevin Holland. I've predicted, I think, every single one of his last fights properly. The guy is so inconsistent. I'm usually always betting against him. Almost every fight I've predicted properly. Like I knew he would beat Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, but all his other losses, Rainier De Ridder, Roman Dolidze, Michael Venom Page, Jack Della Maddalena, I predicted him to win versus Michael Chiesa, versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Guys, I honestly think I have a perfect record on betting on Kevin Holland. I only started betting on him um, probably after like the Kamza Chimaev fight. I predicted him to lose by round one submission. I predicted him to lose against Stephen Thompson. I knew he would beat Ponzinibbio and Chiesa and Oleksiejczuk, but I knew he would lose to JDM, MVP, Roman Dolidze, Rainer De Ritter. So that being said, I think he's gonna beat Gunnar Nelson, guys. Gunnar Nelson is severely undersized. He's hasn't been active. He's two fights in the last 2 years or something crazy like that. On Yeah, two fights in the last 2 years, and his fight before that was 5 years ago. He's not active at all. He's old. He's 36 years old. I feel like they bring him in sometimes randomly on these like random cards. Um, but that being said, he has great submission skills. But his striking is not the greatest there. Like it's all right, I guess, but it's not close to Kevin Holland's striking. Kevin Holland's striking is decent. It's weird, but like you see him get these knockouts, man. He's getting good knockouts, ending fights. But yeah, so my official prediction is Kevin Holland by round two KO. I think there's gonna be a little bit of grappling in the first round. Um, but I think Holland's gonna win this. It's a very good underdog opportunity. But guys, keep in mind you're betting on a guy that's 1-4 in his last fights. If you do end up betting on Kevin Holland, so just keep that in mind. All right, next fight: Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. I love Jan Blachowicz, Polish power. He's a great fighter, fun to watch. But guys, he's been out for 2 years at this point, I believe, almost 2 years. It was that close split decision to Alex Pereira where some people thought he won. Some people thought he beat the legendary Alex Pereira before he went on his light heavyweight run. But coming off a shoulder injury, um, oldest fighter on the card at 42 years old, just turned 42 3 weeks ago. Um, it's not looking great for him against young, well, not very young. Carlos Silberg is 34. I mean, he's been around now, but he's an up and comer still. He's from City Kickboxing. It's not looking good for him against a guy like that. He has KO power, and in his recent fights, he's shown that he has very good takedown defense. Actually, improved a lot. So in this fight, guys, I'm gonna go with Carlos Ulberg by decision. Last but not least, we got the classic striker versus grappler matchup. Guys, this is a really, really, really close fight. A lot of people are leaning both ways. It's almost 50-50 for some people. But I'm going to go with Sean Brady by decision. I'll tell you why. Leon Edwards, as of late, guys, I haven't been too impressed. I mean, he fought, he lost to Bilal Muhammad. We all saw that. But when he fought Colby, I find like he didn't do much either. Like if Colby would have just turned up the pace in the third round, I think he would have won the fight. You know, like the guy Colby decided to turn up the pace in the fifth, and he won the fifth round against Usman in the second fight. Uh, a lot of people forget that it was the first one a long time ago. The second one was the one where he got the head kick knockout. In that fight, he did not impress me at all. He couldn't get himself going. Usman, the third fight, he impressed me. He did really good in that fight, but we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see where Leon's head's at. I mean, he lost his belt. You know, is he ready to be a challenger again? Is it for him? If he can't get himself going, man, fuck. Sean Brady's gonna absolutely dominate this guy. He's gonna hold him down and could submit him, but I think Brady's gonna win by decision. I think his grappling is gonna be too much for Leon, and yeah, man, we'll see where Leon's at mentally, but I don't think he's at a good place right now. So that's it. I'm gonna go with Brady. And if you guys want to make some money, everything that I've said, put like 1 unit on it. So like if you want to bet, like there's 13 fights, if you put like $2-3 on each one, make some good money. And yeah, I did that last week, made some money. I'm gonna do it again this week. Hope you all have a good weekend. Hope you enjoy the fights. Peace out.